Hello, in this video I'm going to go through the second AAT sample assessment for credit and debt management, and this is task 1. Okay, so some slightly challenging questions in here, to be honest. So do make sure that you've had a good look at this and maybe done a little bit of extra research in certain areas. So task 1, 15 marks, statute law, contract law and ethical principles. So identify which 2 of the following situations represent an intention to create legal relations. Now, I generally sort of say commercial, there's going to be an intention to create. Domestic, there generally isn't. But in this example, you can see that some of those lines have been blurred. So agreeing to drive your manager to a training course, I think the question you've really got to ask is, did you intend this agreement to be subject to law? And I think it's fair to say that common sense prevails and no, you would not. Purchasing a motor vehicle from a car dealer, that clearly is commercial and has an intention to create. Agreeing to buy some land from a family friend. So this is the one where I'm sort of saying there's a slight blurriness because it mentions a family friend. So you might be thinking, oh, it's domestic. But if you're agreeing to buy some land, that is a significant purchase. It's not just a casual arrangement of, what do you want to do for dinner tonight? So I think we can be clear that that one will have the intention to create. Whereas agreeing to organise a night out with friends, or no one's going to take you to court if you fail to do that. Part B, true or false? A counter offer will revoke the original offer. So revoke means sort of take it back. And yes, that's true. We know that if someone makes a counter offer, then the original offer is no more. So true. And then a request for clarification of the terms of the offer is not deemed to be a counter offer. That too is going to be true because you're not actually saying, no, not happy with your offer, here's my terms. You're just saying, well, hang on a minute, just tell me that again. So that is fine. It doesn't actually count as a counter offer. Complete the following sentences relating to the late payment of commercial debt, brackets, Interest Act. The law relating to the late payment of commercial debts entitles a business to charge a fixed compensation amount for recovering the debt, as well as statutory interest on overdue amounts at the Bank of England base rate plus, and we know it's a standard 8%. The interest chargeable is applied to, well, we know it includes VAT because it's the whole debt. So is it the specific overdue debt including VAT or the total amount owed by the customer? Well, no, because you can't charge them interest on something that's not late yet. So it must be that middle one. A customer owes £11,850 including VAT, and the debt is 60 days overdue, so it's late. The current bank base rate is 0.25%. Right, don't fall into the trap here. Make sure you read the question. So the fixed compensation amount would be, so they've told you that bank base rate, which you don't need, right? So don't go down the, oh, I'll find out what 8.25% of this amount is, and then do the times by 60 over 365. It's not asking for that. It's asking for the fixed compensation amount. So this is just knowledge. So up to anything under £1,000, you can charge £40. Anything between 1,000 and right up to 10,000 is £70, and 10,000 itself and over is £100. And those figures do include that. So my answer here, I've got to really type it in, will be £100. Identify whether the following statements relating to contract terms are correct. An implied term is a contract is one that is clearly stated. Well, no, because that would be an express term. An implied term is one that's just taken for granted. For example, a builder will take their rubbish. Maybe you should have that as an express term, but there we go. A breach of a warranty term. Now, remember, a warranty term doesn't mean like what we commonly think of as a warranty, which is that, you know, we can take something back and get it fixed. A warranty term is a less important term in a contract. So if that is breached, broken, then it means the injured party can claim monetary damages only. Right, that is true. A warranty is a minor term, so if it's broken, you're only liable to compensate the buyer for the amount they've lost. Incidentally, if it had been a breach of a condition term, which is the more important one, then that would have meant that you could claim for damages, but also that the contract would have ended. All right, so that therefore is correct. Identify whether the following statements relating to data protection legislation are true or false. Under the Data Protection Act, organisations processing personal information on individuals are required to pay a data protection fee unless they are exempt. Right, I actually had to Google this one because it wasn't in the books that I was using. And I found out that, yes, there is a charge, usually around £40 to £60 for most businesses, but it can go up as high as £2,900. So, yes, there is a fee. A business using CCTV for crime prevention will never have to register with the Information Commissioner's Office. Well, that's going to be false. I mean, generally speaking, my rule is if it says never or always, it's usually false, although there was one exception to that rule just after I said it one time, but usually that is the case. And the reason here is if you are a business, then and you are capturing personal information on your CCTV, then that is subject to the Data Protection Act, so you would have to register. Incidentally, anyone can ask to see footage of themselves that's been recorded by a business, and usually that would have to be provided free of charge within 1 month. An individual has the right to be automatically informed when the data held about them is added to or changed. No, they don't. Right, so the right of a data subject, an individual, is they have to be informed about data collection and its use. So not just something's changed on the records. They have the right to access the information. They have the right to ask that inaccurate data is rectified. They have the right to erasure or to be forgotten, to restrict processing, to have their data be made portable so that they can import it elsewhere if they wish. They can object to processing, and they can request a review of any automated decisions, but not a right to be automatically informed when the data held about them is changed. Right, correct option for the following statements. The Consumer Credit Act will protect individuals when they buy goods or services on their credit card for. Now, again, this was not covered in the book material that I was using. I have a general knowledge that it's over £100 because I've had personal experience of this, but I did have to look up the correct answer here, which was over 100, but not more than £30,000. So Section 75 of the Consumer Credit Act gives the credit card company equal responsibility with the seller. So for purchases, goods or services between those amounts, you are protected if you are using your credit card, which is why it is always a very good idea to make your purchases on a credit card. I remember an old advert a few years back, I think it was Rowan Atkinson carrying a carpet that had gone on fire, and because he'd bought it with his credit card, he was covered. Must have been over £100. Right, the Trade Descriptions Act makes it an offence for traders to falsely describe. So that applies to goods and services. That one's quite straightforward. And then the Consumer Rights Act allows an individual to reject an item that is not fit for purpose, that's not of satisfactory quality, and not as described. So they're the three components of the Consumer Rights Act, and receive a full refund within. Again, I had to look this up. It wasn't in the book material that I'd been using. So the answer is 30 days. So I did a little bit of research around this. So after 30 days, up to 30 days, you are able to reject the item and receive a full refund. I thought, well, what happens after 30 days? So after 30 days, you're no longer entitled to the full refund, but you can ask for a replacement or a repair. If the product is faulty or develops a fault within the first 6 months, then it's down to the retailer to be able to prove that the fault wasn't there when you bought it. I'm thinking about a handbag of mine that I bought at Easter and the strap has just broken. I'm taking it back to the shop, and it's quite handy to know my consumer rights. So the product has developed a fault within 6 months. So it's up to the retailer to prove that that fault wasn't there when I bought it. I can ask for either repair or a replacement, not a refund, but if they fail, then I am able to get a full refund. After 6 months, then the onus is on the consumer to prove that the item was faulty when they bought it. So the kind of the burden of proof just shifts ever so slightly. Right, so quite a lot of interesting little points coming out just from that first task on this second AAT sample assessment.